Okay, we are live. It's been a while since we've gone live on YouTube, and I wanted to just check it out, see how it worked, see how things are going. Office is going strong. Been enjoying the process here as we've been developing inside of a few different things with MaxFit, with Warrior Week, with CrossFit Costa Mesa. But mostly, I'm very excited about this man project that I've been really pushing and moving forward in regards to my mic is up here, in regards to understanding what that looks like for the man project and what's the point of it. And we talked about last time, it comes down to developing this concept of a man that wants to develop strength and habits, patterns, and behaviors to be good at being a man in regard to what I've been taught at Warrior Week, and also too by Coach Sam Falasafi. And also, really taking back everything that I learned with my training, with growing up, with developing through relationships, developing with my wife, developing with my body, developing with my businesses, and really coming down to, this topic this week. I wanted to talk about fatherhood and parenting, and like really navigating the role of a modern dad, right? Because this is a difficult conversation. This is a difficult conversation to have. If you haven't had the conversation with your wife, this is something that you want to do, because a modern father has to have some certainty, has to have a shitload of certainty, but he has to have a lot of specificity in what he's doing as a dad. And this is being taken away from us, from society. And something as simple as, if you're a man that talks about feeling your feelings, immediately you're looked at about being weak. But then if you're a man that doesn't talk about your feelings, then you look at a man that's machismo or toxic masculinity. So this is a very serious line, right? I mean, you've seen all bullshit that's going around with the left and the right, and the right and the left, and the up and the down. There is no even with COVID, you go into the building, you're an asshole. You go out of the building, you're an asshole. You wear a mask, you're an asshole. So there are a lot of people that have a lot of input into what you're doing as a man, and as a father, and as a leader of the household. You have to take control of that. You have to take and remove outside influence and become and be certain inside of there. There was a study that was done where it was asked for men on their deathbed, what is it that you regret? And I forgot, it's got to be 80-20, but there was a high percentage of the men on their deathbed that said that I wish I would have lived my life like I wanted to live it, not like others wanted me to live it, or not like others inputted me to live it. So being very aware of that, and then putting that together with what you're doing for your kids as a father, being a role model and developing them, and just fucking working in your business and having somebody watch your kids and raise your kids. I don't give a fuck if you're doing it at homeschool or not, or at school, is not okay. You have to be involved with it. You don't need to micromanage your wife. Your wife has motherly instinct, which is way fucking better than fatherly instinct when it comes to, taking care of the kids. And it's not sexist, that's just reality. So being a man and being a protector of the environment and understanding what the input is being put into your kids. So yes, if your kids are being educated on shit you do not agree with, you need to address that right away. So you need to know what your kids are being educated on. Same thing with if they're educating them on shit that you don't want them to be educated on, you have to put your input in right away. So the number one thing that you must realize as a father is that you have to be an advocate, or as a parent, you have to be an advocate for your children, because nobody else will advocate for them. So advocate for them, specifically at school, specifically in society, specifically inside of what they're going to develop. And again, I've seen kids, and my kids are actually 4 and 7, and I've worked with teenagers, I've worked with college kids, and I've seen it anywhere from, D1 athletes, educated individuals, UCI, Cal State Fullerton. Some are, UCI obviously more scholarship based, more academic based, versus Cal State Fullerton more scholarship based for athletics. But I've seen also to the prison side of it. I've seen the Department of Education and side of schooling and inside of junior highs, elementaries, and high schools. I've seen it. I've been around. And you can tell by the parents that are willing to hear their kids and have empathy and interact with their kids and develop their emotional bandwidth versus removing that emotional bandwidth, shutting it down. So it's not okay to just let them run wild. I mean, obviously, there has to be an understanding of hierarchy inside of your household, but also, too, being able to lead from the front. So business isn't fucking answer. Having a business and always focusing on it is not a role model. Obviously, working is important. God wants you to work. Everybody, you have to work to produce, and producing is part of being a human and not just a man, but being a fucking human is revolved around production. And when you produce and others see that, then they will gravitate to that, right? Same thing with if I am very aware of being able to have a very open conversation with my wife, right? So if I'm having a conversation with my wife and I'm constantly butting heads with my wife, there's going to be a problem with the chain of command. So there's going to be a problem with what my kids see, and there's going to be a problem with the way my wife feels about me, and there's going to be a problem with the household. So you have to understand that when your wife is upset and you try to battle that, that's going to become a problem in itself. Now, I'm not saying to just bend the knee or always fucking tuck your tail. What I'm saying is that you can't always match the energy. You can't suddenly always start screaming. You can't always fucking go off the handle. Even for yourself, you can't go off the handle too. Shit doesn't go your way. You can't go off the handle. It's not their fucking problem. It's not. You know, one of the best things that I heard was from Dan Cirillo, bless his heart, rest his soul, was their problems. My problems are not their problems. My problems are not their problems. And once you start realizing that, you can really start to navigate and negotiate inside a household. Also, as a man inside that relationship, what does it look like to give your wife certainty? What does it look like to show your wife that you trust inside of her leadership inside the house? Right? A lot of you men suffer of not being able to do that. You get upset about this and you're upset about that. And yes, you say you're grateful, but you aren't showing and letting her know that you're grateful. You're not letting it be by actions versus words. Your actions really tell what your character is versus your words don't mean shit. So being aware of that in your process of development as a man, and then going from there, your kids will see that, and that's how they'll move forward with other relationships, especially with those around them, especially with males and females as they get older. They'll learn that kind of interaction. Then the other side of that is having the ability to show a role model in the sense of your body. So taking care of your body and not letting it go to shit. Taking care of your body and putting forth the effort. If it is shit right now, it's okay. It's okay. There's plenty of times my body's done shit, but it's also super important that my kids see me caring for it. So they understand the importance of caring for it. Same thing with my spirituality and my connection to God and my connection to Christ. What does that look like for me specifically? And what does that look like for them? I don't fucking push it on them. I don't force them to read shit. I don't force them to read the Bible. I don't force them to be spiritual. I don't force them to meditate. But if they ask me, I teach. If they ask me because they see it, show them. Same thing with morning routine. Same thing with the nighttime routine. You know, there's a lot of skills need to be developed inside of a man that needs to be passed on generationally. And that's what died in our society. Really, it comes down to fatherhood and parenting is basically being able to navigate the role model of modern man by passing on those mistakes from the old men, right? There's a lot that the old men did well, and there's a lot the old men did wrong. And that's nothing wrong with that. But the conversation needs to be had that, hey, my dad got beat to shit, but my dad never touched me. So he broke the cycle. My dad saw alcoholism in our family. He broke that cycle too. So there's no alcohol here. So there's a process that needs to happen. So if you're in a family that you don't know how to feel your feelings, you need to start feeling that. So that way you can pass the ability to have that connection to your emotions to your kids. Same thing with production. If you struggle with production, if you struggle with body hair, if you struggle with spirituality, those are all things that I need to pass on to my child so that when my child can live in this modern era, right? And I want to control the way that information gets put into his mind, and not by stopping it, not by actually stopping the information, but having the conversation. So that's part of development, right? Is listening and having a conversation with an individual so they actually grow, they ask questions, and they become a better man or woman in themselves, in this whole role of the modern era. And it's crucial. It's crucial for us to be involved. It is not okay for us to put it off on someone else. It's not okay for us to think that it's more important to just make money versus being there with our kids. It's not okay to not have date nights. And I mean, you should have pursuing your wife. You should have date night with your wife. You should have overnights with your wife. You should have overnights with your family. You should have date nights with your whole family. And you should have date night with just all your kids. And you should have date nights with individual kids. So if you got 4 kids, you got a lot of fucking date nights that make it happen, right? Because you got one date night with the wife, you got one date night with 4 kids, you got 4 date nights with individual kids. So you got a lot of shit to do. You got a lot to work on inside of this parenting process, and just know that you're not alone in that process, but it has to be recognized and realized, and you have to be willing to go to war with it. You have to be willing to go to war with society in what they're telling your kids, because if you allow for them to dictate the information that they get, you're allowing them to raise and dictate your children. So just be very aware of that. Tolerance, acceptance. So what you tolerate is what you accept. So be careful, be aware, and thank you. This conversation is going to keep getting heavier and heavier, and this is something that I'm very excited to put out there, push out there, and really start to develop this men project inside of fitness, inside of relationships, inside of being a great fucking father, being inside of business, as well as spirituality and being connected to God. So till next time. Kick rocks on.